Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Let's talk Marywood women's basketball. Tara Macciocco joining us right now, the head coach. Well, Tara, for you, 7-0 in the CSAC, 10-6 overall with your team. Tell us about how the ladies are playing right now. Obviously, pretty darn good in the CSAC.
Yeah, we started off kind of slow scheduling wise. I think this is the toughest non-conference schedule that we've had in a number of years, and with the young team that we have right now, trying to learn a new system and learn how to play with each other because there's so many new faces. Got off to a slow start, and I think things are starting to finally come together for us. People understanding their roles, knowing who our scorers are, where to get, who needs the ball in their hands at certain times of the game, and starting to click for us right now, which is good to see at this point in the year.
And you break down percentages of becoming a college basketball coach. You know, people say, well, you got to know the X's and O's, you got to do this, but there's a big part of that is on recruiting, I would think. Tell us about percentage-wise. I mean, there's just so much energy. You're going to see games, talking to parents, you're talking to student-athletes. Tell us about how you balance all that and how much energy and the challenges of recruiting and hitting the road.
Well, I think the challenge as a competitive person and as a competitive coach, the challenge is what drives us to continue to enjoy our job and enjoy getting out and seeing as many games as we possibly can. Like, I love the game of basketball, so I get out to as many games as I can, even if it's not a recruiting event that I'm attending. If we're not recruiting one of those players, but depending on the year, I think there could be more challenges. Last year's class coming in, we had 9 freshmen coming in, which was one of the largest that we've had since I think my second or third year at Marywood. Things will change a little bit next year. We won't look to bring in as many incoming freshmen next year because we'll have a large group returning. So I think this past year recruiting-wise was more of a challenge than this current year is now. We have a couple of commitments already that I think will fill in for the 4 seniors that are graduating will fit nicely. So this year was a little bit easier for us. So I'm enjoying the games a little bit more rather than being stressed out at the games, wondering if we're going to get a commit or not.
Talk about having that basketball mentality. Obviously, your dad, a coach for a long time, and trying to balance yourself with the stress and making sure you're making right moves and doing the right things. How is that personally for you as a coach?
Well, the hardest thing at our level, at the Division III level, is you wear many hats, and it's not just you're not just a coach. You're an administrator. You have different roles within the department. So you're balancing your work, your administrative responsibilities with your coaching responsibilities, which is tough times, especially in the heart of our season. But I think with my dad, in regards to my dad being a coach, I really learned the X's and O's from him and how to kind of manage games and manage substitutions, and I still look to him so much with. Back on Wednesday, our game on Wednesday, he came down at halftime, came back in the locker room and said, "You got to make an adjustment here in the press." So it's nice that I have him to kind of bounce ideas off of and support with him. So that's nice, a nice balance for us that we get to share that experience together.
Yeah, that's an awesome bond that you have, and not many people ever get to experience that. For your team this year, what's giving you the great results? You having some great offensive production, some tough defense. What's winning games?
Honestly, I think just they work so hard, and it's such a fun, high energy group, and they really bought into the defensive end and rebounding the basketball. We're really small, and we've done a really good job of staying right with our opponents, if not out rebounding them in the last couple games with our lack of size, and that's just all hard work and pride getting out there and playing tough, gritty defense. Our offense is starting to pick up a little bit more, but it's really the defensive end of the floor which has helped us win these last couple games.
Seeing a team like FDU, Florham, in the last couple of years, they won a national championship, seeing them play and seeing some of the local women's college basketball teams. Forced errors is something that I'm sure you like to get your other team, kind of like in tennis, I like to say, but get the other team to kind of throw the ball away or put on some pressure for them. Talk about getting the opponents to make the miscues so then you can capitalize.
we're not really a high pressure type of defensive team, but what we do a really good job of, I think, in forcing them into turnovers is knowing their sets and knowing their tendencies and taking those things away from them. So that's where we come up with some more of our stops, whether it be a turnover or we're just taking away their first and second option out of their offense. So I think preparation is the key to that, being able to force them into those turnovers, because we're not really that much of a high pressure type of team.
And then you get a young lady that you recruit, a freshman, and maybe they were the top scorer on their team on the high school level. Now they got to make that adjustment to college, and maybe they're chipping in with 6 or 10 or 8 points here or there. Talk about the offensive component and making sure girls are comfortable and doing their skill set the best they could to make the team win.
Yeah, I think that's a tough adjustment, especially with our team this year having 8 freshmen coming in, and that they're the best player on their high school teams. Kind of adjusting to the fact that you might not be playing as many minutes as you'd like to play. You might not be getting as many touches as you'd like, but understanding their role. And I think at this point in the season, everybody has kind of accepted their roles and understands their roles, which is helping us success with the success that we've had. But it is a tough adjustment for somebody that may have been the leading scorer coming in and having to take on a different role. But again, it's a team sport, and you have to get everybody to buy into the fact that they're going to do what the team needs from them. So I think they've all done a good job of understanding their roles and doing that. It's communication between the staff and the players, making sure that they understand what their role is, and it's clearly defined for them.
You talk much about team goals, before the season, during the season, what you want to accomplish?
We do, and we set goals in the beginning of the year, and of course, everybody always wants to win a championship, and that's everyone's goal. But we've done a good job of talking about things one day at a time, and focusing on one opponent at a time, preparing for one opponent at a time, and really setting game goals. And then every day in practice, focusing in on something in practice that we're working at, getting better at. So we have our eyes on the prize, but we're focusing in one day at a time.
Biggest thing you think your team needs to work on between now and the playoffs? What's the one thing you're hammering home every day?
Really post defense, just because of our lack of size. We're working on how to front the post, double the post, rotate out of that, because we're going to come up against some teams now in the next week or so that have some big, strong post players, and that's really what's going to help us win the game if we could defend inside.
Well, Tara, I want to thank you for your time, and still rooting for you here in northeastern Pennsylvania. Continued success on the floor.
Thanks so much, John. I appreciate all that you do for us.
Marywood women's basketball, they're 7-0 in the CSAC. They're undersized, they're young, but they're winning games, and they're ready to go for the rest of the year. Here on the John Mendola Show, we are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.